What's going on, everybody? AC the teacher here, aka AC the life coach. And today we'll be going over a few lessons that I learned from a book that I received from my horology professor at Paris Junior College in Greenville, or Paris, Texas, actually. Professor Stanley McMahon, he is an amazing guy, but he gave me this book before I left class. I unfortunately had to drop out of class, but basically he gave me this book for me to read, and it's about aspiring entrepreneurs, aspiring people getting into the career field. And here's a few things I learned from it. We're going to go over the 6 stages of finding a new endeavor, basically. So here's the things I learned from it. I want to share with you, and we're going to get right into it. So here we go. So this video is more so for high school students, college students, entrepreneurs, or 9-to-5 workers who want to become entrepreneurs. So going from a 9-to-5 to entrepreneurship. Employers hiring entrepreneurs, future business partners will value and hire you based off of 2 things. So this is twofold. If you are a student, a high school student or a college student about to go into the corporate world, or if you're an entrepreneur about to go into the field of getting hired and things of that nature, here is the process, okay? So we have employers hiring entrepreneurs, future business partners. They'll value you based off and hire you based off of 2 things. These are the main 2 things that they'll hire you based off of. It's your potential and or your experience. Potential and or your experience, okay? So a quick correlation for physicists, right? A physicist describes the properties of energy as potential energy being energy at rest, and kinetic energy, which is being energy in motion. If you want to be that kinetic energy, all right? You want to be that potential energy. You don't want to be the energy that is at rest. Like, that means you have the potential, but you're just sitting there, you're not utilizing your talents. You want the kinetic energy, all right? You want that energy that is in motion, that you're always working towards. You're always willing to learn. You're always willing to gain knowledge. You're willing to volunteer. You're willing to sacrifice the fun things and sacrifice the easy things to do the hard things and gain knowledge. That's the type of people that employers, future business partners, that they want to connect with and they want to hire. All right. So another thing that I learned was the 6 stages of, or this is what I consider it, the 6 stages with a new endeavor, the 6 stages within a new endeavor, right? So there's 6 things or stages in life that I deem, and I agree with out of this book, that you go through as you are about to go on to another endeavor, a new job, a new career, a new family, a new whatever the case may be. When it's new and you started from the bottom, it's brand new, these are the stages that you go through, all right? So you have the aspiration stage, the promise stage, the momentum stage, the harvest stage, encore stage, and the legacy stage. And we're gonna go through all 6 of them. Well, mainly the first 3, and then the last 3, we're not going to do too much deep dive in it, because this is mainly, like I said, this video is mainly for the younger people. So the younger people are going to be going through, or currently going through, aspiration, promise, and momentum stage. So the harvest and encore and legacy stage, that's more so for the elderly people, or people who are going, I would say 40 and up. 50 and up, that's those last 3 stages, right? Here's the aspiration stage. All right, so the first to 3 years, that's pretty much the duration. From year 1 to year 3, that's you're inspiring to be whatever it is that you're trying to be, right? You're aspiring to start something new and fresh. You're excited and you're eager. You're ready to go. But the reality is, of the cons, there's going to be a 50% chance you quit, or you don't make it out of the first aspiration stage. So usually the first year that people start, no matter what the new endeavor is, whether it's going to the gym, starting a new job, entrepreneurship, whatever the case may be, within that first year, usually the young people quit because it's too hard, it's too difficult, or it's not what they want. You know, a lot of, when we're young, we think we know it all and we think that we deserve more, but we just, as young people, we don't have the experience yet. Most people, most kids, most 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, we just don't have that experience yet. So we are, per se, sometimes treated on the entry level type of level. Like, we're on the entry level because we have no experience in the work industry, whatever the case would be. Averagely, that is the average scenario that I'm throwing out there, right? Now I'm gonna give y'all 2 viewpoints. One from a young college student just about to graduate, and then one from a 9-to-5 worker who is wanting to transition over to a entrepreneurship role, all right, or being an entrepreneur. All right, so for college students, right, this is for the college students. This is for the students senior year, and you're about to get up out of here, junior year, senior year, and you're about to get up out of college, all right? So in this phase is more about growing, all right? It's about growing, discovering, volunteering, learning your process of learning how you learn, all right? The development of your knowledge in your field or industry that you wanna get into. Now let me break that down, all right? So growing, right? Let's take the topic of growing. Becoming an adult, independency. All right, so you're not dependent on mom or dad or whoever your guardian was before college. You're not even depending on the college professors. You're not depending on anyone to wake you up. You're not depending on anyone to do the work for you. This is all you. You ain't no college, ain't no professor, ain't no teacher, ain't no parents no more. This is all you. All right. Assumption. Of course, there's families that are fully supportive and willing to help, but get in the mindset of it's just you and you can only depend on yourself. Okay. You're becoming an adult now. No, in the independency, you're independent now, and you're depending on yourself. Learning productivity hacks. Learning productivity hacks. You need to learn which way to minimize the distractions and maximize the productivity in your life in your day-to-day basis. Okay, and that's going to save you time and money. The two most important things that you're going to need in your lifetime as an adult is time and money. All right, so productivity hacks equate to saving time and or growing your money, all right? So 2 things that you're gonna thank yourself for in the future and in your 30s is the time that you spent on educating yourself and growing yourself in your 20s and the money that you saved or put away or put into investments for your 30s and your 40s, all right? So that's the growing aspect. Now, for the discovery aspect, as a college student, remember, we're still on college students, discovering the new trends within the current field / industry that you're in. Also, you will be discovering that you may not want to be in the field that you majored in, right? After you have seen the real world and you might want to go a different route. I went to college with a lot of people who are not in the industry that they're in, that they went to college for, all right? I went to college with chemists. They got a major in chemistry, and they should be a chemist now, but they're not. I got people who majored at MBA in business, but they're not in business at all. I got people who majored in mathematics, and they're not. I got people who majored in colleagues who majored in a lot of different majors that are doing the complete opposite in the real world, because either they didn't like the real world experience in those majors, in those industry, or they grew to like something else, and that happens. I got my major in fine arts, and of course I am an art teacher now, as well as I practice my art, so gracefully for me, it worked out for me. I'm doing things within a line of my major. I got my master's in positive psychology, which would ultimately lead me to go towards getting a licensure in psychology, but I didn't get my license. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. I am a life coach, and I got the hours to get certified and get my life coaching certification, but I do that every now and then. I'm not doing that all the time. So things change, right? Things change when you I got my master's in nonprofit management, and I didn't, I had a nonprofit, but I'm not running a nonprofit right now. So things just change. Life just happens, and you get different aspirations, right? You're starting new endeavors, which I'm doing right now, which you will end up doing probably. All right, it's a possibility. So this is your discovering and figuring out what you want to do, all right? Because you may go a different route. So that's the discovery route. You're learning, you're feeling yourself, you're figuring out what you like, what you don't like, and you're figuring out which route you really want to take. This is all happening in that aspiration stage, that first year to year 3 after you graduate, all right? Now, we got the process of learning, all right? The process of learning. So now you are learning you are now learning the optimal way of obtaining and retaining information. What is the most sustainable way for you to digest information when it's provided to you? When information is given to you, how do you best receive that information? This is key for not just young students, young college students, but adults in general. When you are learning anything new, when you're at a job, when you are at school, and you are about to obtain information, it's important for you to know the best way you learn and elaborate that to whoever the instructor is. That is very key because that's the best way for you to learn and receive information. You don't want to be someone who's a visual learner and then you just have someone who's just talking. The instructor is just a talker. You need to elaborate that to them so that they can improve their instructing skills and be able to adapt to your learning style. Process of learning, right? Learning your optimal way of obtaining and retaining information. What is the most sustainable way for you to digest information when it's provided to you? Then share that with your boss, share that with your mentor, share that with your manager, share that with your coach, whoever you are working with, even your coworkers as well, because that is going to be your best and fastest way to grow within that field and within that industry, all right? So that's the process of learning and why that's important. Volunteering, all right? A lot of people don't like volunteering because you're not getting paid. As a young person, when I was in college, like, oh my God, why do I gotta volunteer, right? Volunteering, and I learned this at a young age, volunteering is experience, all right? Volunteering, yes, you may not be getting paid financially, but you are going to be getting paid financially later on based off of the experience. You're getting paid in experience, all right? So volunteering your time will equate to experience in the future. Just because you're not getting paid doesn't mean that time spent won't be valued in the future, all right? You are also enhancing your knowledge within the field. So let me just elaborate to y'all. Just because you are spending time volunteering doesn't mean that time isn't valued. It may not feel like it's valued at that point in time. When I was young, I like, dang, I'm putting in all these hours volunteering. And I didn't get it at the time, but my volunteer manager was saying, look, this is gonna be worth it in the future. And it was, because I had hours upon hours in the field of nonprofit, in the field of community, parks and recs, all of these hours stacked up. So now when I started applying for managerial positions, upper management positions, I had the hours to say, hey, I spent this amount of time doing this specific work as a manager, even though I didn't get paid for it, but I had the experience for it, and then I got hired. I was the athletic director. I was camp lead, counselors. I supervised over 28 staff based off the experience that I didn't get paid for in the past. Does that make sense? I hope it does, all right? So volunteering is important at a young age because it stacks up experience. It may not stack up money, but it stacks up experience that you're gonna need to have on your resume in your 30s, okay? Development of knowledge. Development of knowledge is key, okay? If you have aspirations to be a CEO in the corporate world or you wanna start your own business, it's best to know the industry from the ins and the outs, at least the foundational things. I know there's a lot of people who don't want to dive into the whole industry. They just want to play their position and play their part, and that's perfectly fine for some people. That's perfectly fine if you want to be an employee for the rest of your life. But if you want to really build and grow yourself to be a CEO, a founder, or a top business partner, a COO, a CFO, if you want those upper management positions in the corporate world, or if you want those top positions in the business and entrepreneurship world, you have to know the industry in full, in its entirety, because that is the way that you're going to be able to hire the right people, because you already know the job, you know the task, and you know what success looks like. So you're going to hire the right people if you know the knowledge of what they should be doing and what they should not be doing. All right. And also, you save a lot of money knowing everything, because for me, I would have to pay, if I didn't know what I knew in photography, videography, and sound design, and audio and visual, and AV. If I didn't know everything and I did my part on studying and learning everything when it comes to the videography, photography business, or audio visual business, everything in fine arts in general. I majored in fine arts. I learned everything in fine arts when it comes to acting, directing, script writing, video, audio, camera work, everything, audio, every possible thing, I learned it. So now I don't have to pay people to record me. I don't have to pay people to do lighting. I don't have to pay people to do sound design. I don't have to pay people to do any studio work. I'm in the studio by myself, and I set up the lighting, I set up the camera, I set up everything. Everything is all me. And I don't pay any, and I'm in a library right now in Frisco, Texas. Library's free, so I got a free 2 hours. I'm gonna knock all this out in an hour, and then we back to it, all right? I don't have to pay nobody for nothing. I invested the money in the equipment because I knew the knowledge of what I need to get, and now I'm here. So my point of saying that is, you save money when you develop the knowledge that you need in the industry. You save a lot of money. You save a lot of time and energy. You save a lot of not dealing with people who aren't good for you. You save a lot of scammers. You save a lot of things that you can avoid in this industry when you don't know nothing. When you know a lot about the industry, you can't get scammed, you can't get played, and you get a bang for your buck. Okay, so that is all that we're gonna go through for that. Now, that's for my college students. That's my college students, and that is for my young people. Okay, so now I'm gonna transition to breaking it down for the 9 to 5 workers. Okay, so for my 9 to 5 workers, the growing aspect is you are for the most part babied, right? As a 9 to 5 worker, you're babied. And I'm not saying that the job duties and the tasks are easy. I'm not saying that because I done worked a lot of jobs on an entry-level position as an employee that were not easy. And I did not get paid for the amount of work that I did on the employee level, right? On the entry-level level. So but what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that the job is easy. I'm not saying that 9 to 5 workers have an easy job and an easy life. But what I am saying, in comparison to the multitude of things that you are doing as an entrepreneur, in comparison to just starting a entry-level job, the entrepreneurial tasks, the entrepreneurial duties outweighs any of the entry-level jobs as a worker does on average. And that's on average. I'm talking about the general entry-level positions. On average, entrepreneurs who are just starting out have way more duties than an employee who's just starting on entry level. For example, when as a employee you walk into work, right? Policies are already set in place for you. The structure is set for you. Other people have their tasks and duties, and you have yours. And as long as everyone does their one task or 1 or 2 tasks, right, then the whole company and the organization functions properly, right? There's no if this person does this thing, if this person does that thing, and this person does that thing, the whole company is going to flow and function perfectly. Now, on the contrary, right, as an entrepreneur, you're the one who's setting the policies. You're the one who's creating the structure, right? You are the janitor and the CEO at the same time. You're doing the customer service. You're the accountant. You're doing everything from the beginning to the end. You are the day-to-day duties. If you don't have a team, you don't have a team yet. I'm just talking about from the beginning. You don't have a team yet. Everything is on you. So you have to grow to have that entrepreneur mindset, all right? So if you're an employee and you have never worked as an entrepreneur, you have to have an understanding as far as, man, I am doing everything for myself. I don't have a janitor that's gonna come up and clean up behind me. I have to do the cleaning up. I don't have the department to send my customers who complaining. I don't have the department to be like, hey, go, this is not the right department. You're gonna call someone else. No, you are the department. If there's a complaint, they're calling you. All right. If the packages didn't show up, you the one who packaged it up, and it was on you. All right. So that's the growing aspect. You're growing from a 9 to 5 to an entrepreneur. You have to understand that you are now the company, and every aspect of what it takes to run a company, it's on you, especially in the beginning, until you can hire other people, or you get a group of volunteers or people who really rock with your mission and vision, and you build that team. All right. Next, discovery. You're doing research. This is from year 1 to 3. Be mindful. Year 1 and 3, you're discovering what you want to do in your entrepreneurship. Who do you want to serve? You should really be doing this in the beginning, but let's just say year 1 and 3, you're just trying to figure it out. All right, so you're doing research in your field and the current trends. You're figuring out who do I want to impact? Who do I want to serve? What product do I want to utilize to make the world better? Whatever your goal is, you're discovering that, and how are you going to maximize that, all right, with your entrepreneurship. All right, now the process of learning. You're finding your best learning style. Similar to what I said about the young adults and the college student. You're figuring out what's your best learning style as an entrepreneurship. What type of mentor do you need as an entrepreneur? Who are you searching for to coach you and mentor you in your entrepreneurship? Who are you looking up on YouTube? Who are you going through these lock-in mentorship programs or these weekend retreats? Like, who are you looking up to that you can best benefit from? Do you align with them? Do you align with their coaching style? Do you align with their teaching style? Figuring that out, all right? Finding your best process of learning. Volunteering, once again, you're going to do a lot of volunteering as an entrepreneurship, because in the beginning, you do not have the money or the time. You are just trying to work, and get your experience up and figuring it out. So you're finding time to volunteer while you still, this is what I say, while you are this is just a bit of advice. When you're transitioning to be a entrepreneur, working your 9 to 5, you are volunteering your time to whatever entrepreneurship industry that you're going to. You're volunteering your time to grow experience, to know that once you leave this 9 to 5, you're hitting the ground running because you had the experience and you volunteered your time to know the knowledge of whatever that industry is. All right. So I know for me, I'm getting exposure to that new field. You're volunteering your time, getting that exposure to the new field and building a rapport with people within that industry. I know for me, when I transitioned from being a teacher into being a full-time artist or entrepreneur for 2 years, right? I went back to teaching, but I successfully left and came back. I successfully left for 2 years, all right? So, but within that last year of teaching, I was putting in crazy work in art galleries. I was doing art shows. I was volunteering for our nonprofit art organizations. I was like, man, this is what I need to do in order for me to transition from being a teacher to being a full-time artist. I need to get more out in the art world. I need to start talking to art galleries and art collectors and things of that nature. And I successfully did that, but it took a lot of time and volunteership on my end after school in order to make those connections, in order for me to be able to leave and be able to acquire the finances to sustain me for 2 years, right? So that's that. And then the last one, development of knowledge, okay? Development of knowledge as an entrepreneur, that just simply while you're working at 9 to 5, simply you are researching, you're applying the knowledge, and you're collaborating. All right. No, in entrepreneurship, what I learned is when the people who are the top, who are winning as entrepreneurs, who are the CEOs, they're not thinking about self. They're not thinking about competitiveness. They're thinking about collaboration. Who can I collaborate with for my company and their company to grow more? Because they understand that they're not going to serve the whole world. They just need to serve a percentage. All right. They don't need to serve the whole world. They just need to serve a percentage, all right, of people. Because there's too much people in the world to serve them all. All you need to serve is a percentage. Find your targeted audience. Find people who are within that same audience as well that they're trying to serve. Collaborate with them. You get their fans. You get and they get your fans. They all you're circling the money within that money circle or that targeted audience circle, and you're growing from there. And that's how I've seen a lot of CEOs just grow that I work with. All right. Side lesson, all right? So this is how I did it. All right, I'm gonna give you just a quick side lesson how I did it for how I left from teaching to a artist for 2 years. All right. So at 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. this is me time. Now look, this is a scheduling aspect that I do in my life coaching program. If you want to be a part of the life coaching program that I'm in, if you want to be a part of the life coaching program that I do, I use a plethora of life charts, and we figure out what your goals are, and we kind of customize it for you and your daily duties. So I'm about to show you just a quick, it's not too detailed, but just a quick brief example of what I did when I was transitioning from a teacher to a full-time artist, all right? So at 5 a.m. to 7 a.m., that was my me time. That's when I woke up in the morning, I jogged, I exercised, I stretched, I read, whatever the case may be. I just did things for me, all right? Now, from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., I was a teacher. I was at school. I was teaching middle school, all right? From 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., I worked on art. All right, I worked on art. I was going to art shows. I was doing art gigs, whatever the case may be. I was working on the craft and figuring out ways to get money, raise money, fundraise money, save money, anything I could do with art. All right, and then from 9 to 11 was me time. So I got 4 hours for myself, okay? 4 hours for myself, and the rest was to work. 4 hours out of a 24-hour day to me, rest was for work, and then 6 hours I slept, okay? And that's how I divided up my days. Everything else was quite irrelevant. You got to lock in, you got to focus on what your goals are, and I did that for a full year, and that full year gave me 2 years of freedom, 2 years of not say freedom, because I still was working as an artist, but it gave me 2 years of doing what I wanted to do. Right? I didn't have to teach. I didn't have to clock in. I could wake up and just do art. So I had 2 years of that based off of 1 year of putting in that type of mentality, that lock-in mode, all right? So when we as adults say to the youth that the youth are the future, you must understand when that future starts, once you get out of high school, is when the future starts. Like when I be telling my students, like, man, y'all are the future. Y'all really are the future. The future literally starts as soon as you graduate. Whatever the day is that whether you drop out of school or you like, future starts then. So please be mindful, my young students, my young people. That's when the future starts. All right. All right. So that's all I have for y'all on this aspiration stage. The first year to 3 years after graduating high school and/or graduating college. And also, if you are a 9-to-5 worker wanting to transition over to entrepreneurship, okay? And here is some advice / suggestions that I just take away from the lesson that I just taught you, okay? So think critically, listen well, practice active listening, have a problem-solving mindset, an inventor's mindset, all right? And when I say inventor mindset, I really mean inventors. They don't just invent one thing and just sit back. After they invent something, they go ahead and figure out where in the world is there another problem and how can they fix it? Or if everything is per se fixed, they figure out, okay, how can I make this thing or this entity or this business or this product work better? And then they invent something on top of that, okay? So that is what it is to have an inventor's mindset, a problem-solving mindset, okay? Collaborate effectively with others. Focus attention also on a work and life balance plan. What does outside of work look like for you? Find the hobbies, all right? Build friends, family, etc. Don't get into this point where you're feeling robotic, all right? I've done that. I've felt robotic a lot of times in my life, like really like a robot. Wake up, go to work, come home, go to sleep. Wake up, go to work. Like I felt robotic, and I get that feeling. It's a sucky feeling. It's a stressful feeling. It's a depressive feeling. I get it. Trust me, I do. So you got to figure out, what does that work-life balance look like for you? How much time are you taking out for you? As I just stated, I took out 4 hours out of my day for me. Phone was off, no distractions, and gracefully, I don't have a kid or I don't have a wife, so I'm able to do that, right? I know it may be different for others. Y'all may have kids, y'all may have a partner, you may have a big family that you serve. So in that case, you have to bring them in on this plan, on this work-life balance that you're trying to do. You have to figure out, how do you balance that out, and ask them to help you as well. In those scenarios, you gotta figure out. You gotta make that plan work for you and for them as well. Let's not feel robotic, all right? And because as much as we want to be successful, as much as we want to be successful and have a successful career, you equally want to have a successful life, outside of your career. You equally want to have, because you can have $1 million, $1 billion, but you can feel lonely, or you can feel not connected to your family, or not have any friends. You can have all these negative feelings, and it won't even let you enjoy the riches that you have, right? So it's good to build friendships, build connections with, even if it's not your family, but people in this world who just brighten up your day, or you just can align with. Just build those connections and have those people in your life that whenever the day that you do make it, you have somebody or people that you could, experience the riches and share the joys and share the traveling or whatever with. All right, but that's about it. I hope you got something from that video. If not, comment what you didn't get, comment what you did get. I would appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe and like the video and share it as well. Share it with a friend. I would gracefully appreciate that as well. And the next video is going to be about the promise stage, which is year 3 to 5 after you graduate or you transition over from being a 9-to-5 to an entrepreneur. Now, that's all I got for y'all. I hope y'all have a positive and productive day. Y'all be grateful. Y'all be at peace. And I'll see you on the next one.